Well, almost the entire stock market was green today. Everything made a new all-time high. The SPY made a new all-time high. The NASDAQ looks like it's about to make a new all-time high. The IWM bounced very, very well. So the end of the month rebalancing that hedge funds usually do has played out pretty well on the IWM. Crypto markets are down, right? So now what we're going to do in this video is we're going to go over the stock market. We're going to go over the bonds, the dollar, and the crypto market. So without further ado, let's get right into it. But first, if you enjoy the content on this video and all of the content that I post, please be sure to subscribe to the channel and put on bell notifications. Thank you so much. Also, I post all of my live options trades on Twitter for free. Today I went 9 for 12. I've been posting them live since Monday, and I have approximately a 70% win rate. Average return is approximately 25 to 30%. And my losses, the average percentage for the losses are around 5 to 6%. So overall, I'm doing pretty well. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys could go ahead and check out my Twitter as well. Anyway, like I said, on the SPY, if we consolidated above here, it would look pretty good for new highs much higher. So that's exactly what happened. Before, on this blue line, we had trouble staying above it, right? We never stayed above it for more than one day in a row. But recently, we closed above it 3 times in a row. So now the 4th day, we skyrocketed above, and now the SPY is getting a bit overextended. So we are about to really see whether or not this is going to continue going on higher, similar to what happened back in April when it was trading outside of the upper level of the B band, or will we start falling down? Okay, so basically what I think might happen is we start consolidating. We're going to come back and retest this blue trend line here, and then that will really determine which direction we go in afterward. All right, so now this blue level tomorrow is going to be approximately 428. So 428 is a very massive level of important support on the SPY, okay? You can also see that the SPY is about to get overbought on the RSI, which is a bearish sign, usually. And also, of course, we can see that the MACD is, very overbought. But I said, the MACD can continue going on higher because we have gone much higher in the past, all right? So, this doesn't necessarily mean it is a bearish signal currently because, the SPY is making new all-time highs. So we just have to continue monitoring how overextended we get. One thing to take note of is tomorrow is Friday. So over the weekend, I'm interested to see how many people are going to want to hold the SPY and the NASDAQ and everything over the weekend, especially over a holiday weekend when it's July 4th. So usually what happens during holiday weekends is people do take profits. So tomorrow I am expecting a bit of sell-off on the SPY. I do not think that we are going to continue on higher. If we do, honestly, it is a miracle, in my opinion, because usually what happens is people end up taking profits because they want to, do stuff with their money over the weekend. So, we just have to monitor that. And that's essentially all there really is on the SPY. The IWM clearly broke above resistance today. You could see that it's overbought, right? But we completely shattered this trend line here, and we're now trading back above it, which is a very, very bullish sign on the IWM. We bounced off of this very, very important 228 level. We crossed back above here, and this you can see is a giant bull flag on the IWM. We've reclaimed this level, so now we need to see if we can continue crossing back above and in a bullish way. The first target is going to obviously be the highs of this bull flag first at 233.64. If 233.64 breaks, then we can easily see 234.55 on the IWM. And since the IWM is bullish, that means that the bank sector is going to be bullish as well. The real reason why I think the IWM had a bullish move, especially into the end of the month, because today is July 1st, it's because at the end of each month, hedge funds and banks rebalance their money out of winning indices and put it into losing indices. So for the past, month, the NASDAQ was clearly the winning indice. So banks and hedge funds that put, billions of dollars and bought into the NASDAQ down at like 330, right? They profited like crazy this entire month. So what they're going to want to do is obviously they're going to take profits along the way, but then they're going to want to chase this same amazing percentage increase. So what they're going to do is put it into a losing indice to capture the movement upward, because the IWM hasn't been moving upward as sharply as the NASDAQ. So at the end of the month, hedge funds and 50-50 funds, they leverage their money back into losing indices, and that is why the IWM bounced back up, in my opinion. Okay, so there's that really on the IWM. If it continues crossing out above this bull flag, then we have a target for 240 plus on the IWM. That's just something that we have to continue monitoring. Next, let's check out the NASDAQ. So the NASDAQ had a bit of a scare earlier on in the day. It fell down, and that basically happened because the bonds were also falling intraday. So the 30-year yield was also falling, right? And at the same time as that happened, the NASDAQ began falling as well. But they both bounced back up, and now the NASDAQ is trading back up here. So what's going on right now with the NASDAQ is very, very bullish. So we are overbought on the RSI, which is a bearish sign, right? But the MACD, look at the MACD. The MACD is going down, yet the NASDAQ is still holding upward. All right. Now, on other stocks, if you guys remember, the MACD would only be going down if the stock was falling, right? But as we can see here, the NASDAQ is still holding up very, very well above this uptrend, and the MACD is starting to cool down a bit. And as you know, when the MACD cools down out of extremely overbought and comes back down to oversold territory, that is basically the propeller, the launch pad, basically, that creates more potential for upward move. All right, so that's exactly what happened over here as well. Now I guess we just have to see if the MACD can, cool off just a bit, similar to what happened back here, and consolidate a bit more, probably up here, and then go on even higher. But yeah, that's something that we're just going to be monitoring. For now, the support level on the main clear level of support on the NASDAQ here is going to be this trend line. For tomorrow, it's going to be approximately 353. So if 353 breaks, 352.83 or 87. So basically, if 352.80 breaks, right, then that is a very, very big warning signal on the NASDAQ, and that means that this downward momentum on the MACD is actually bearish. So it all depends on whether this trend line holds. And that's really it on the NASDAQ. We saw that the bonds had a bullish move today as well. We had a bit of a scare. It's still oversold, so that means, so the 30-year yield, it's still oversold. That means that there's still a lot more upward room. And if the 30-year yield is doing well, that means that the NASDAQ is going to continue doing well. The dollar clearly broke above this 92.38 level that we were watching, 92.40, and it's curling upward, which is very, very important. And if the dollar and the 30-year yield are both going up, that is good for the NASDAQ. And I said that if the dollar and the 10-year yield are going up, then that's bad for the NASDAQ, and it's good for the IWM. But as you can see, the 10-year yield is falling still. So all of those things coupled are why, the NASDAQ still had a very bullish move today. All right, so the dollar, we're still overbought, or we're still oversold on the MACD, which is extremely, extremely bullish. And this is a big reason why the crypto market fell, because of the strong dollar. So let's go into the crypto. Oh, sorry. Let's talk about crude oil. Let's check it out. And of course, crude oil had an amazing bullish day today. We've been monitoring how oversold the MACD is on crude oil, and now we can see that the RSI is also overbought. So this just overall is a very, very strong bullish move on crude oil. And the crude oil bullish move here is another reason why the SPY made new all-time highs. All right. So, I mean, this is really historical, honestly. This is such a strong, ridiculous, crazy move. If I extend this to the right, yeah. So we are literally at this level of resistance here on crude oil. Let's see if we break above. But overall, the fact that crude oil is doing well, that means that the overall market is still intact. So that's really what we need to look at. And yeah, that's it. So now we're going to go ahead and look at the crypto markets. Okay, so Bitcoin. So we still see that we're trading within this range. All right. These two blue trend lines are very, very important to remain and hold. Okay. So now what we can see, let me go to an hourly chart. So we can see that Bitcoin, it's creating, a falling wedge. This can potentially be like a nice little bullish scalp to the upside. It can cross back up to like 35,000 in the short term because of the falling wedge pattern if it breaks out. But what I really want to watch is, I said that the really, really important levels of support were going to be the 50% fib level and the 61.8% fib level in yesterday's video. And we bounced pretty close to the 61.8% fib level at approximately 32,500, right? And we are currently trading above the 50% fib level at 33,350. So those are both pretty bullish signs. Overall, what needs to happen is, once more, we need... All right, so look. So basically, Bitcoin, the MACD is very, very overbought. All right? So now, since we couldn't cross above here and start consolidating above this line, right? What now needs to happen for the bullish case on Bitcoin is we need to... So two things need to happen. Either this basically becomes a bull flag and we start breaking up here very quickly, which is, still very bullish if that does happen. Or this needs to cool down a bit. We need to consolidate above 34 and then eventually above 35. By that time, the MACD is going to be oversold, and that would give enough potential for it to cross above and hold above this trend line here. All right, because right now Bitcoin is having a lot of trouble above this trend line, and that trend line is a very, very important level of support all throughout here. And when looking at it on the logarithmic chart, this was the key level that, when it broke, was the signal of capitulation to the downside. There were multiple levels of support when Bitcoin is trading above 50,000, right? And this was a major one on the log chart. But when you click out of the log chart, this is the normal chart, and you can see that it's currently acting as very, very strong resistance. So that's my prediction for Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and check out Ethereum. So of course, obviously Ethereum is going to have trouble at 2,300 as well, because Bitcoin really fell heavily and it couldn't sustain above 35. So, I mean, also the dollar was very strong. So multiple things. But, it is very bullish that Michael Saylor actually came out and said Bitcoin is pretty clean in regards to its carbon emissions. So that might be news that can bring Bitcoin's price back up. So we're just going to have to wait and see what happens for that. But aside from that, there's my crypto analysis. And now we're going to go over the technical analysis on the stocks that you guys wanted me to check out. So Apple clearly still working in this uptrend, ridiculously strong. It has a lot of support above 137. 137 just essentially needs to hold on Apple. If it breaks below 137, it might be a good opportunity for a scalp. DD, so basically this is a new stock, I guess. So what we could do is if it crosses above 1690, that might be a good opportunity for a scalp to the upside as well on DD. HIPA, this was a very, very, very bullish move, an amazing move. It held 193 very well. It never touched back. We can see that the MACD is very, very oversold. This is still a bull flag. So this is still a very, very bullish pattern on HIPA. So, I mean, we didn't have enough steam to break out of it the first time, but now we need to see if it crosses back above 212 and starts consolidating. Will it have enough steam to break above 232 and remain there and continue breaking out? But aside from that, this was still a very bullish move on HIPA. But we just need to continue monitoring how this is responding above $2 and 193. ACAM, we can see that, this is also still a, potentially a bull flag as well on the daily. But we can see that it's created a triangle here. So you can see an uptrend and a downtrend level. For tomorrow, the level that needs to break for resistance and move to the upside even more is 117.62. So if 117.62 breaks, then potentially it can mean that we can continue on higher on ACAM. And the level of support that needs to hold is 115.95. So, I mean, regardless, this is a very, very bullish setup here. The one thing that I do think you should take into consideration is the MACD is overbought. But as long as we remain above these levels and trade within this range, we can have a very strong move either to the upside or the downside. So those two levels, just keep that in mind on ACAM. So real, you can see that it was in an uptrend, but it broke down. So now what I think is going to happen is, so first of all, we're very oversold on the MACD, which is a bullish signal. Especially since we are remaining above levels of support right here above 19. So we're basically at very, very strong levels of support just below, and we're oversold. So that is a pretty bullish sign. We were trading in a huge uptrend since May 13th, right? And we basically went up almost 30 or 40% in a month. So taking some profits is normal. But now what needs to happen is we need to reclaim this trend line here, or just bounce off of 19 up, basically. And you could also see that the RSI hasn't really moved up as much. The MACD is still pointed downward, even though real had a green day today, which is another bullish sign. This trend line to resistance here is going to be approximately 21.55. So if 21.55 breaks above tomorrow, that is a very, very bullish sign on real. The next level of resistance is obviously going to be today's high at 2061. So yeah, overall, real looks pretty good as long as it can hold above 1917 or the $19 area, essentially. So beyond, so we broke out of a bull flag on beyond, and it looks like we could come back and retest this level here at around 147, 148 area. The reason why I say that is because obviously we had a huge red day. We failed to cross up and continue on higher, even though we, were outside of the Bollinger Band. But we did bounce exactly at the 20 exponential moving average, which is a good sign. But we're overbought like crazy on the MACD. And we're pointed downward. But as long as, Beyond can hold the 147, 148 area, that's still a very good level of support. And it means that we can continue on higher because we did break out of this huge bull flag. So the upward target for this bull flag is going to be approximately, look. So It's approximately 187, which is ridiculous. So as long as we remain up above this level here, 180 is still doable. But we just need time for the MACD to cool off a bit, reset, have the numbers average back out, get, cool down, hopefully get below the yellow line once more. That would give a base for it to bounce off of, and then make a stronger move upward. And let's see if this is also that level that it might consolidate at right here. So yeah, overall, beyond, it's not the end of the world. But yeah, it was very overextended, so taking some profits is normal. Sony, you could also see that this is a bull flag from the bottoms that it created, but similarly, the MACD is very overbought. It needs to cool off just a bit. We traded above. Let me turn this off. We traded pretty well above the 38.2% fib at 97.50, and we bounced off of that level, which is a very important level of support. The 38.2% fib level is like if we can stay above that, that's very, very bullish. If we break below that, then the next level of support are going to be 96.40 and then 95.30. The next level of resistance is going to be 98.85. If we can cross above 98.85, that might be a good sign for potentially scalps. But overall, we can see multiple uptrends here. Multiple uptrends here. So overall, I mean, this is a pretty bullish setup, regardless, on Sony. But we just need to monitor the MACD evening itself out and seeing if we can consolidate and find support above the 38.2 or the 50% fib levels. So waste management, today we opened outside of the upper level of the B band, and we returned back into it. It's not the best signal. We can see that this is a bull flag though. So, that is pretty bullish. So yeah, clearly you can see this bull flag. We bounced out of it. So now what just needs to happen is, can we sustain above this upper level of the flag here on waste management? If that's the case, and we continue on higher, then the upward target for waste management is approximately going to be 147. So yeah, I mean, the first level of support is going to be the 38.2% fib level at 140.45. The next level is going to be at 139.19. But the real important level is going to be this, upper level of the flag right here. For tomorrow, that level is going to be approximately 140. So as long as 140 holds tomorrow, waste management is still outside of potentially a breakout, a bull flag. So that's a very good sign on waste management. Bank of America had a, obviously it had 2 green days because of the IWM. So as long as the IWM is doing well, then Bank of America should be doing well as well. The next level of resistance, if we can cross above 41.95, that will be very, very important for Bank of America. So yeah, we just need to watch and see how the IWM does. As long as you monitor the IWM, you could also see that, the MACD is very overbought, yet we had a bullish move. So this is, potentially a very bullish setup, but we need to see if it crosses above resistance. If this level acts as resistance, especially with the MACD this overbought, that can potentially mean a collapse. But I don't think, obviously, a collapse is going to be, I don't think that's going to happen because, the market in general, they're not going to want to lose that much money overnight. So overall, I think this is a pretty good setup. We can see the fib levels here as well. And we are holding above the 23.6% fib very clearly. And the next level of support after 41.13 is going to be 40.63. Even if we fall back down all the way to 39.81, this is still potentially a bull flag. and it can still cross back up above. And the upward target for this bull flag will potentially be approximately $44, $43.50 at least. Okay, so regardless, this is a pretty bullish setup on Bank of America as well, but we need to key off of the IWM and the larger macroeconomic indicators. You would need to watch the bonds, the dollar, the 10-year yield, and the IWM to see how Bank of America is going to do, basically. Last but not least, CCL. So CCL has very, very important resistance at $27. If we can cross above this level, that would be very, very bullish. We can see that the MACD is oversold and it's pointed upward. Very important level of support is going to be 25.27. But we never even touched that level, which is a good sign. But if it fails at this trend line here, that means that it has potential to go back down to 25.27. But the closest level of support is obviously going to be today's lows at 26.12. So just monitor those levels on CCL. I mean, overall, it like it went straight up and then it went straight down. So just be careful on CCL. It's very, very heavily dependent on COVID news and reopening news and things like that. So you need to monitor that. The traveling sector and everything in general. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys enjoyed the content, go ahead and subscribe. All that good stuff. Go ahead and blah, blah, blah. Like, comment, subscribe. I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you so much.